peace, sweet. You crossed me wrong, thought you could slide, but calm was a beast, no place to hide. I dealt with you raw, made you face the fire. Consequences hit hard, cut like barbed wire. Negative vibes, your actions told. Paid the price in full, lost control. Streets demand balance, eye for an eye. Handle the beef, now watch the anger die. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you, step in the light. You face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Dug hard for gears once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believe in. Echoes of your mess, they ring in the night, but you took the L. Learn wrong from right, I imposed the truth. No mercy in sight, consequences crash down, ending the fight. Bad deeds caught up, no escape route. Dealt the hand of fate, now work it out. From the hood's cold, justice prevails. Forgiveness follows when the debt's detailed. Ain't no free pass in this game we play. Face the music, then clear the way. No spite lingering, just lessons etched deep. Thugging through it all, now rest in peace. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you, step in the light. You face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Love hard forgives once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believe in. Here's the closing chapter, Thug style supreme. Forgiven after justice, living the dream. Yeah, justice served cold on these streets. Dealt with the betrayal, now peace, sweet. You crossed me wrong, thought you could slide, but calm was a beast, no place to hide. I dealt with you raw, made you face the fire. Consequences hit hard, cut like barbed wire. Negative vibes, your actions told. Paid the price in full, lost control. Streets demand balance, eye for an eye. Handle the beef, now watch the anger die. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you, step in the light. You face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Dug hard for gears once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believe in. Echoes of your mess, they ring in the night, but you took the L. Learn wrong from right, I imposed the truth. No mercy in sight, consequences crash down, ending the fight. Bad deeds caught up, no escape route. Dealt the hand of fate, now work it out. From the hood's cold, justice prevails. Forgiveness follows when the debt's detailed. Ain't no free pass in this game we play. Face the music, then clear the way. No spite lingering, just lessons etched deep. Thugging through it all, now rest in peace. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you, step in the light. You face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Love hard forgives once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believe in. Here's the closing chapter, Thug style supreme. Forgiven after justice, living the dream. Yeah, justice served cold on these streets. Dealt with the betrayal, now peace, sweet. You crossed me wrong, thought you could slide, but calm was a beast, no place to hide. I dealt with you raw, made you face the fire. Consequences hit hard, cut like barbed wire. Negative vibes, your actions told. Paid the price in full, lost control. Streets demand balance, eye for an eye. Handle the beef, now watch the anger die. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you, step in the light. You face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Dug hard for gears once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believe in. Echoes of your mess, they ring in the night, but you took the L. Learn wrong from right, I imposed the truth. No mercy in sight, consequences crash down, ending the fight. Bad deeds caught up, no escape route. Dealt the hand of fate, now I work it out. From the hood's cold, justice prevails. Forgiveness follows when the debt's detailed. Ain't no free pass in this game we play. Face the music, then clear the way. No spite lingering, just lessons etched deep. Thugging through it all, now rest in peace. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you. Step in the light, you face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Love heart forgives once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believing. Here's the closing chapter, Thug style supreme. Forgiven after justice, living the dream. Yeah, justice served cold on these streets. Dealt with the betrayal, now peace, sweet. You crossed me wrong, thought you could slide, but karma's a beast, no place to hide. I dealt with you raw, made you face the fire. Consequences hit hard, cut like barbed wire. Negative vibes, your actions told. Paid the price in full, lost control. Streets demand balance, eye for an eye. Handle the beef, now watch the anger die. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you. Step in the light, you face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Thug heart forgives once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believing. Echoes of your mess, they ring in the night, but you took the L. Learn wrong from right, I imposed the truth. No mercy in sight, consequences crash down, ending the fight. Bad deeds caught up, no escape route. Dealt the hand of fate, now I work it out. From the hood's cold, justice prevails. Forgiveness follows when the debt's detailed. Ain't no free pass in this game we play. Face the music, then clear the way. No spite lingering, just lessons etched deep. Thugging through it all, now rest in peace. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you. Step in the light, you face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Love heart forgives once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believing. Here's the closing chapter, Thug style supreme. Forgiven after justice, living the dream. Yeah, justice served cold on these streets. Dealt with the betrayal, now peace, sweet. You crossed me wrong, thought you could slide, but karma's a beast, no place to hide. I dealt with you raw, made you face the fire. Consequences hit hard, cut like barbed wire. Negative vibes, your actions told. Paid the price in full, lost control. Streets demand balance, eye for an eye. Handle the beef, now watch the anger die. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you. Step in the light, you face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Thug heart forgives once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believing. Echoes of your mess, they ring in the night, but you took the L. Learn wrong from right, I imposed the truth. No mercy in sight, consequences crash down, ending the fight. Bad deeds caught up, no escape route. Dealt the hand of fate, now I work it out. From the hood's cold, justice prevails. Forgiveness follows when the debt's detailed. Ain't no free pass in this game we play. Face the music, then clear the way. No spite lingering, just lessons etched deep. Thugging through it all, now rest in peace. Dust clears from the clash, justice done right. Forgiven after I dealt with you. Step in the light, you face the fallout, reap what you sowed. No more chains dragging, lifting the load. Love heart forgives once the score's even. Rise above the drama, believing. Here's the closing chapter, Thug style supreme. Forgiven after justice, living the dream. Yeah.
Hey, hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, follow, all those amazing things you do. Please and thank you. We're here to get all that money. That's all. Working. Working today. Drink. Uh, continue. Ugh. Get a job. Quick job. Denver. Oh, we're going to Nevada. Take that job. Oh, we're at the airport. Yeah. Oh, we got 3 trailers. Shit. Hell did they hit? That moron hit me. Hit him. Hey, how's it going? Two Dog GG. Two Dog GTA. Going good, thanks. Life is great. allergies. I hate allergies. Ugh. Ugh. Here. All right, Evanston, gas and west. We're gonna go further. Go to the next stop. And allergies, I hate it. I hate spring right here in this mountain town. I know allergies are horrible. And then all the other random shit that comes along my apartment, my neighbors. It's intensifies it. Far until the next. Now we gotta stop. Fuck you, red light. Good shit. gonna have to find somewhere else to rent. This truck not compatible with this location. We have a resting here. Alright, now we should be good for the rest of the trip. Gas, sleep, all taken care of.
Areas of the moon never seen before, gather more information on future missions, for landing on the moon and
Landing on
make
the moon, eh?
technological adjustments for future missions. According to NASA, all things are a go with no issues ahead of launch day yet. The four-person crew will be made up of NASA astronauts Reed Wiseman, Christina Koch, Victor Glover, and Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen. They've been preparing for this for years. NASA put this video out.
But this isn't really to the moon. This is like looking at the moon, looking at the dark side of the moon. They're not going to the moon.
With an uncrewed mission around the moon.
They're just going to circle it and come back.
Artemis 1 back in 2022. The astronauts could travel farther from Earth than humans have ever gone before, going beyond Apollo 13's record of 248,655 miles set back in 1970. So this mission is designed to allow for them to gather enough information to be able to land on the moon in 2028. That's the goal. They also hope to have a long-term presence on the moon. This mission potentially could provide enough evidence for it. Reporting here from New York, John Glasgow, Newsmax.
John, thanks for that. Joining me now, former NASA astronaut, former commander of the International Space Station, Leroy Chow. Leroy, welcome back to the show, sir. Looks like NASA stepped up its image game. I mean, that was a pretty impressive video that John had in his report. And this is historic stuff, obviously, with Artemis 2. The first crewed mission to orbit the moon since Apollo 17 went there back in 1972. But why has it taken 54 years to go back? And why aren't they landing on the moon? Because there are a lot of people who still swear we never did. Is this going to give them more evidence or more reason to spout conspiracy theories?
After we landed on the moon in 1969 and subsequent mission, including with Apollo 17 in 1972, we definitively won the space race and beat the Soviet Union to the moon. And so the political objectives were attained. And after that, the economy back then
It was first
not in
contact.
very
We
good
secretly
shape,
didn't
and
tell you about
programs
it.
were cut. We started developing
Russia wanted
space
to be
shuttle,
first contact, but America didn't.
and so that's why we
The
haven't
Draconian
been back.
Empire.
There has not been a political reason to go back, and there hasn't been the funding. So since then, in 2004, we started the new
First contact
exploration
didn't happen on
program.
Earth. It happened on
It has morphed. It has changed directions since then in 22 years. But here we are finally, vehicle, spacecraft, and a crew ready to go back at least in the vicinity of the moon. It's important to take these steps because we can't just go back after all these years, almost 54 years, say, oh, now we're going to go land. But we don't have a landing, right? We know the technology, we have the technology, we still have to develop this hardware. And so that first step, shaking out the Orion spacecraft, first time with crew on board, we're going to shake out the life support system, the thermal control system, the communication system.
What's crazy is the astrology hasn't,
spacecraft
top of astrology
has been
that
before.
we're dealing with now hasn't happened for 6,000 years ago. And 6,000 years
We had some
ago,
problems with Artemis 1.
humans may have been learning
a
how
lot
to
of
make
things
boats
to
or
do.
travel
This is
boats.
the first step back to the moon.
It's kind of like what we're doing now.
And then on to Mars.
A lot of critical questions can and should be answered. And then there's Artemis astronaut Christina Koch, who says tomorrow's mission could determine whether or not we're alone in the universe. Listen to that.
Oh, are they going to tell us?
The question of our lifetime, which is, are we alone? When we go out and meet people, people ask that all the time. Have you seen evidence of this? What can we learn? And the fact is that answering that question starts at the moon. The moon is a witness plate to our entire solar system's formation. It's a stepping stone to Mars, where we might have the most
It's actually a
likelihood of finding
giant hollow
evidence of past life.
canister.
Well,
full
if
of
there's anyone who should
technology.
know, Commander Chow, it's you. Are we alone in the universe?
Very recently, there's been data from the rovers on Mars that point very, very strongly to evidence of past life on the red planet. Billions of years ago, a couple billions of years ago, Mars was a very different place. Had big oceans, big water oceans, had a thick atmosphere, different composition. Life likely happened there back then. And so I
they're finally
sincerely
catching up to
doubt
the
we
truth,
are
in the
alone.
bubble.
I personally believe there's intelligent life out there, and I believe it's all over the place. The problem is an issue of distance. The universe is so vast, it's almost impossible for us to really wrap our heads around it. And I think we're so far apart between places that have intelligent life that we'll likely never find each other. I don't think we've visited. I mean, I may be wrong. Let's see what gets declassified. But, in my mind, it's definitely out there. It would be the height of arrogance to think we were alone.
I couldn't agree more. And I was going to add the intelligent life could already be here. Meanwhile, NASA has called President Trump's first year in office the golden age of innovation and exploration. You've got to be excited about this. It looks like our country's space program is ramping up and headed in a whole new direction.
Oh, very much so. The old program was, frankly, nobody believed that after Artemis 2, Artemis 3 was going to land on the moon. That's kind of a big step. You've got to develop the landers. You've got to test them, which is what Jared Isaacman, the new administrator, has done. He's inserted a new mission saying, no, we're going to evaluate landers here in low Earth orbit first and make sure they're going to work. And so then we're going to land on the moon. So Jared Isaacman, the great big NASA administrator, the place needed to be shaken up.
Well, you mentioned the potential or the likelihood that at some point there will be a crewed mission to Mars. Crewed, meaning there are people on the rocket going to Mars. It sounds like that would take a very long time.
Well, Elon got smart and said, well, we need a moon base. And I was like, see? Freaking told you.
Elon Musk, it's right around the corner. Maybe 5 years or so. I think it might be a little bit more than that.
Yeah, we need to build that moon base. The public one, not the secret one that we have there. That we facilitated. All that lost military money we don't know what accounted for, and all the private sector money nobody's accounted for.
I mean, whether you're talking about SpaceX or Tesla, generally it's done things that it's going to do. So I believe there are going to be moves to Mars certainly in my lifetime, and I think it's going to be a partnership between a company like SpaceX, likely SpaceX, and NASA. SpaceX has so innovation, and NASA's got the operational experience.
Astronaut and former space station commander Leroy Chow. We appreciate your time very much, sir. Thanks for joining the show. We're all watching this very closely.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere, folks. There's more to come on 11 Report. We're back in 3 minutes.
Appliances breakdown.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. That's all I hear with commercials. Blah, 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 blah. 7,000 pounds.
Clover was found alone and severely underweight in El Dorado County, California. Clover, as you can see, is making a comeback next in part to quality playtime with that little piggy. Officials at the Oakland Zoo say Clover is building companionship skills and improving mental well-being. Plus, she's cute as a button. So there's that.
Orphan Puma.
So like adult Puma. I mean Clover. Save that story for another day. I also want to mention that Embark 2 launches tomorrow night, and it is during this program. We will bring it to you live. We'll have the whole launch in its entirety right here on the Lemon Bubble. So we hope you'll stick around and check us out tomorrow night. That's all the time we have for tonight's edition of Lemon Bubble. I'm Rick Bubble. Always appreciate you being here. We stream live every weekday at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. So, Artemis 2 or not, we'll be back here tomorrow. Stick around now for my buddy David Harris Jr. or maybe me. Hosting the folks. Have a great and safe night. See you.
Hi, I'm Bianca Della Garza. What I love about working
Nobody cares. Shut up. Commercial.
was born Dwayne Douglas Johnson on May 2nd,
Rock.
1972, in Hayward, California, to Samoan-born Anna Johnson and former professional wrestler Rocky Johnson. He was also a gifted athlete and excelled in football, track and field, and wrestling. He attended
One of the richest men, too.
on a football
He's got like $8
scholarship.
million.
After graduating with degrees in criminology and psychology, he applied to the NFL
Value or
draft,
worth or something.
but wasn't selected. The future 10-time World Wrestling Champion entered the world of wrestling as a third-generation wrestler, something of which he was very proud. As legendary as his wrestling career was, it was his
And he's a
film
Taurus.
debut as the Scorpion King that would send The Rock into the stratosphere.
I think he's like the 8
His
of clubs.
first
Or something.
film, The Mummy Returns, broke box office records by earning more than $28 million in one day. To date, The Rock's films have a combined worldwide revenue in excess of $10 billion, making him one of the world's highest grossing and highest paid actors. On August 18, 2019, Dwayne Johnson married
especially those in Europe, where the French Revolutionary Wars were raging. After 2 terms as president, Washington returned to his beloved Mount Vernon. Newspapers across the country published his farewell address. Because of its keen political insights, this address is considered one of the most important documents in American history. I'm Callista Gingrich, and this is Let Freedom Ring on Newsmax TV.
Tonight, President Trump says that he can wrap up the Iran war in 14 days. While the media panics over the timeline, we'll take a look at the president's plan to bring the conflict to an end.
But if Iran is wise, they will cut a deal. President Trump doesn't bluff and he does not back down.
Plus, power play. The left is trying to convince everyone that rising gas prices are the perfect excuse to trade your V8 for a glorified golf cart. They're hoping pain at the pump makes you desperate enough to buy into their fantasy. And lawmakers on vacation. While DHS sits unfunded, we're exposing the shutdown double standard as thousands of federal workers continue clocking in without getting paychecks. All that and much more. The Pulse starts now. Good evening, friends, and welcome to The Pulse. I am David Harris Jr. Sorry for the delay. It is live, and sometimes there's technical difficulties. But they said it couldn't be done, friends. They said a month-long U.S.-led air campaign against Iran would only embolden the regime. But tonight, the facts on the ground tell a very different story.
The latest intel is clear out of CENTCOM. Our strikes are damaging the morale of the Iranian military, leading to widespread desertions, key personnel shortages, and causing frustrations amongst senior leaders.
07.
While the mainstream media experts, they call themselves, they continue questioning the Pentagon's ultimate goals in Iran. War Secretary Pete Hegseth, he didn't mince words. From day one, our men and women in uniform have fundamentally set the
time. I gotta go to the
this
bathroom.
conflict.
The upcoming days will be decisive. Iran knows that, and there's almost nothing they can militarily do about it. Yes, they will still shoot some missiles, but we will shoot them down. Of note, the last 24 hours saw the lowest number of enemy missiles and drones fired by Iran.
And President Trump posted this video to Truth Social today showing the moment 2,000-pound bunker-busting bombs destroyed an Iranian ammunition depot. The U.S. military, they're negotiating with bombs until a deal is reached that actually protects American interests.
Whether we have a deal or not, it's irrelevant. Now, it's possible that we'll have a deal because they want to make a deal. They want to make a deal more than I want to make a deal. But in a fairly short period of time, we'll be finished. They will not be able to do a nuclear weapon for years.
And while our brave American troops do the heavy lifting, President Trump also sent a very long, but overdue reality check to our allies on the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical energy choke point, which remains effectively closed due to Iran's desperation. Trump's message to Europe was loud and clear. The free ride is over. He says if these nations want jet fuel and oil, they have two very simple choices. Number one, buy from the United States. We have plenty and we'd be happy to sell it. Number two, build up some of that delayed courage, head down to the strait, and in the president's words, just take it. And now the world is watching to see who will finally step up and who will continue to stay on the sidelines. For the latest from the front lines, we go to Newsmax foreign correspondent Zach Anders live in Tel Aviv. Zach, to you, brother.
Yeah, David, good afternoon. We've been watching a really long stretch without a missile attack into Israel. It's about 15 hours here, one of the longest stretches of the war without getting any missile alerts. We go back to day one of this war. We had approximately 200 missiles coming in, and in the last 24 hours, just 3. So clearly some degrading of their capabilities here, but still this morning, cluster warheads raining across central Israel today. 8 people with light injuries. And this is a wide area of impact sites, spreads miles apart. The warhead splitting into dozens of smaller bombs, more than 30,000 feet up in the air, nearly impossible to intercept once the cluster warhead disperses. And to the north in Lebanon, the IDF pounding Hezbollah all the way to Beirut, taking down buildings in the city that the Israelis claim are tied to Hezbollah, bombing this building here shortly after issuing an evacuation order on social media. And this after the IDF reports that 4 Israeli soldiers were killed today fighting in southern Lebanon, engaging with Hezbollah on the ground. The IDF describes the ground war there as intensifying and claims to have already killed more than 900 Hezbollah men. And today, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations claims that 2 UN peacekeepers killed in Lebanon yesterday drove over an explosive planted by Hezbollah. They're denying any Israeli involvement. And we've now learned that the 2 peacekeepers killed were Indonesian soldiers, part of UNIFIL, the United Nations interim force in Lebanon. Even though it's got interim in the name, they have been there for decades, deployed on the Israeli-Lebanon border. UNIFIL says they continue to investigate the circumstances of those peacekeepers' deaths and have not blamed either Hezbollah or Israel at this point. And staying in Lebanon, Israel's defense minister had a remarkable set of comments today. He vows to destroy all the homes in southern Lebanon near the Israeli border. They're going to raise the area, he says, make it look like what they've done in Gaza as a way to eradicate the Hezbollah threat on the Israeli border. And our sources in Jerusalem telling us that that plan to defeat Hezbollah likely to far outlast the Iranian conflict and will include pushing ground forces dozens of miles deep inside Lebanese territory. We have also got breaking news today as in Baghdad, Iraq, a American freelance journalist has been kidnapped, we believe, by pro-Iranian militias around Baghdad right now. There is no proof of life provided, but our sources are telling us that they believe that she is still alive, Shelley Kittleson. And at this point,
you guys hear
we
that?
just don't know what has happened to her. There was some kind of
terrorists
pursuit.
have captured
There's
somebody.
video of her being abducted off the streets, and the vehicle
Iraq.
that she was abducted into later crashed.
And a bunch of
when it
people
was
left
chased
Iran
by
to Iraq.
security forces, but still no sign of her. But we are hearing
were
that
part of the
potentially some
IRGC
negotiations are underway
during this whole
with
thing.
these terror groups to try and secure her release. David?
Wow, well, hopefully she is released soon. We'll send prayers out to her and stay safe out there. Zach Anders, thank you for joining us tonight. Let's bring in Republican strategist and former Navy intelligence officer John Jordan. John, thanks for joining the Pulse this evening. You know, the president is urging our allies to wake up and get in the game when it comes to securing the Strait of Hormuz. Take a listen.
We'll be leaving very soon, and if France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, they'll go up through the strait and the Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually, but we have nothing to do with that. What happens to the strait, we're not going to have anything to do with, because these countries, China will go up and they'll fuel up their beautiful ships and they'll leave and they'll take care of themselves. There's no reason for us to do it.
John, do you think that the president may actually pull out of the Strait of Hormuz and pull out of Iran, even if the strait is still shut down?
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now, David. I mean, the media, the left-stream media is making a big deal about how Iran is standing tall and defying Trump. That just isn't so. They escalated this by interfering with traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. But their leverage there is a wasting asset. Each day, their capabilities are being degraded. As Secretary Hegseth pointed out, you have widespread desertions and failures to show up for work, frustrations, morale problems. The Iranian military is degrading in both capability and in manpower. And this has implications for domestic security of the Iranian regime, too. Now, President Trump's trump card, so to speak, is Iran's oil revenues, which the regime absolutely has to have to pay the troops to keep them from turning on them. And that means Karg Island. 90% of their oil revenue comes from that, which is 60% of their government budget, which pays for all of the Republican Guard, the Basij, and all these organizations. It's been widely reported that he has three options. One is to invade, one is to destroy, and the other is to blockade. I would propound that he has a fourth option that nobody else is talking about. There could be some sort of ultra-precise airstrike and or special operations operation to sever the pipelines from Karg Island to the pipelines in Iran, to the oil fields in Iran proper. And that would stop the flow of oil, but do so in a way that could be repaired without destroying or without risking American troops in large numbers. And we could keep aerial surveillance over that to make sure that it isn't repaired in the near term or is repaired only with our acquiescence. And that would take minimal air assets on our part compared to what we're using right now. So look for something unexpected, because when that oil stops flowing for Iran, and when those troops stop getting paid and the Iranian economy collapses, that's when you're going to have real regime change.
Yep, and that's exactly the goal, real regime change. Really like your perspective. John Jordan, God bless you. Thanks for joining the Pulse tonight.
You, David.
In the war with Iran, friend, it's sending gas prices higher. The national average for a gallon of regular gas is now more than $4. My next guest says the radical left is using the surge at the pump to bring back their push for green energy. They're basically trying to force you into an electric vehicle that you don't want and you can't afford. Joining me now is the author of Green Fraud and founder of ClimateDepot.com, Mark Moreno. Mark, thanks for joining the Pulse this evening. You know, it feels like the left is never willing to let a crisis go to waste. What are your thoughts?
Exactly. This is the exact same playbook. In fact, the Daily Telegraph newspaper declared it COVID-style lockdowns being urged due to Iran war. What they're doing here is they're fear-mongering. They're fear-mongering about energy collapse and economic collapse in order to essentially justify imposing the Green New Deal or net zero agenda, which has already been defeated and being defeated globally, by the way. I mean, 80-some countries didn't even submit their UN net zero goals before the last UN climate summit. So what's happening here is the International Energy Agency is calling for COVID-style lockdowns, stay-at-home orders, no driving, going back to electric appliances. Any of this sound familiar? They're using the Iran war and the impact on energy costs to impose the Green New Deal. Reuters did a news analysis last week.
See, that's the globalists right there. The globalists. That's them. And whiny baby Alex Jones crying in his little, I gotta get paid. I gotta try to keep my InfoWars. I will turn Democrat. That's what he's doing. Alex Jones turned Democrat. And his son Rex, total Democrat
Any
now.
opportunity they can.
I see what you are. I see you.
The whole climate agenda, which has been so thoroughly dismantled by President Trump.
Yeah, he dismantled it. It's garbage. It's nonsense. Now, and I know you've written extensively about the green fraud. So how is the left using the war with Iran to justify spending billions of dollars more on wind and solar?
Well, they're saying we have to get off fossil fuels and go to wind and solar. We wouldn't have to be in Iran or fight or worry about the Strait of Hormuz or anything. The problem with that argument is after decades of massive subsidies, some estimates in the tens of trillions of dollars to make solar and wind work and the whole green agenda spent on this, they are less than 3% of our global energy of U.S. energy. The entire world, 80% of the energy is run on fossil fuels. In the U.S., it's 80+%. So they want to get something that's less than 3% and somehow have it take over in this fantasy land. So this is why they're trying to sell solar and wind. We wouldn't need oil and gas and coal.
Even though that shit kills animals.
Now, there's no technology that's going to magically make solar and wind. You can't build things with solar and wind. You can't manufacture. In fact, to make solar and wind power, you need fossil fuels.
Yep.
You actually need a lot of rare earth mining from China. You mentioned EVs. To make one Tesla-sized 1,000-pound battery, you have to dig up 500,000 pounds of material, of which China is pretty much monopolizing that because we've hamstrung ourselves here in the West, in the United States and Europe, from even being able to do the mining necessary and the rare earth mining, as we've let China monopolize. So this whole argument is absurd.
And who owns all the farms and land in California? China.
The ultimate irony here is that they're complaining about high energy costs and we could go to solar. The whole point of the Green New Deal, the whole point of the climate agenda, the whole point of what Al Gore proposed was not a bug that, energy prices would go up. That was the feature. They want energy prices to go up to put restrictions on us. That's why they love the idea of COVID and fear-mongering. That's why they love the climate agenda, and that's why they're fear-mongering about energy now. It's all about control, and it's about essentially strangling our economy. For decades, they proposed planned recessions to fight climate change, and they want meat to be higher.
It's all about control.
Gas to be higher.
It's all they want. Yeah, it's all they
Obama's
want. They
energy
want control, and they're foaming at the mouth to try to get it. A lot of the time, Mark Moreno, God bless you, brother. Thanks for joining the Pulse tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coming up, lawmakers are living it up. Some are even at Disney World having breakfast with Mickey Mouse during a partial government shutdown. I'll be joined by Congressman Kevin Kiley to talk about that next.
Federal agencies urge every family to have an emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in
hey,
any
commercial, blah, blah, blah,
emergencies.
commercial, shut up. What do you guys think? Anybody? What do you think of all that? Agree, disagree, what? Okay, who you are? You about? You know, they say history is written by the winners. You know that? And they try to say, well, this is what really happened. Make up all these different truths, not prove any of it. Try to present circumstantial evidence that can't be proven one way or the other. They just make claims. So my point is would you rather be on the side of winners or losers? I think I'll be on the side of winners. That's my decision. I'll be on the side of the winners. Because it's all perspective anyway, so no matter whose history it is, his story, whatever, it's all perspective, right? Can't prove one way or the other. Can you go back in time and prove it one way or the other? No, you can't. You might as well just go with the winner. Okay. Because if you want to argue that point, history is written by the winners. Well, the Old Testament. You want to get into that, Israelites? You wrote a lot of history, didn't you? Or even the Muslims. They got their own history too, right? Right? Or the Buddhists, any of them, any culture in the world, they all got their own history, right? The winners wrote it, right? I mean, you guys are kind of dumb. You don't want to evolve. You want to be stuck in the old primitive delusion.
It's been 46 days, and the government is still partially shut down. So Congress said, Perfect timing. Let's take a recess.
I predicted this
Meanwhile,
government
some
shutdown would be the
DHS
longest ever,
employees
and it would be
who are
long.
actually
Back
protecting
in
this country are missing
October or
paychecks,
September when they had the
wondering how
last
they're going to
government
pay
shutdown.
rent,
I
buy
predicted this would happen.
groceries, and take care of their families. Americans aren't getting paid. Airport security lines are growing. TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard are waiting for the resources they need just to try to keep us all protected. Gas prices are through the roof, and we're at war. But don't worry, Congress is fully operational at Disney World and at Las Vegas. Now you've got Senator Ted Cruz out of Texas cruising on a flight to Houston. California Congressman Robert Garcia, he's rolling the dice in Las Vegas. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, he's living it up at Disney World. And remember, Graham is basically begging Trump to send ground
Lindsey
troops
Graham,
into
the
Iran.
the
But here
closet
he is having breakfast with Mickey and Minnie
homo.
Mouse. This all while DHS
Sapien.
remains unfunded.
Closet
Because
homo
the
sapien.
House, they won't pass what the Senate agreed to, and the Senate won't pass what the House agreed to. Friends, this isn't leadership. This is a freaking joke. If you walked off the job like this, you'd be fired.
Yep.
The American people aren't on recess.
Nope.
So why in the world is our government? Joining me now,
Laws for
California
us, not for
Congressman
them.
Kevin Kiley.
They
Congressman,
above the
thank you
law.
for
They
joining
write
the
the
polls
law.
this evening.
It's like
What do
cops.
you-
They're like, I'm
what do
above.
you
I am the
think
law, so
about the
I
media
dictate what it
putting
says.
lawmakers on blast for abandoning their job in D.C. to go off on vacation during a shutdown?
Can't wait till they have RoboCop.
Yeah, I mean,
An AI robot with
make
cops.
people think twice
Yo,
about
this is the law,
spending
homie. You
their
dumb
time,
human.
You know, when we're in the midst of this
Not
funding
whatever you
crisis.
say it is.
I
guess.
think it's, you know, it's totally unacceptable that Congress is not in Washington, D.C. So I'd call it on the Senate and the House to go back and get this thing resolved. I mean, the Senate and the House have both passed bills that would restore funding. It's just they can't agree on the bill. And so this shouldn't be that hard. We should be able to come back, iron out these differences, come up with at least a short-term deal, and then we could go on with the typical district work period we were supposed to have. But simply leaving town when, as you say, you know, you have all these folks who are in really important jobs, national security related, who aren't getting paychecks, it's totally unacceptable.
Yeah, it's 100% unacceptable, but they still seem to care. Well, President Trump made sure to get TSA employees their paychecks, but of course, Spartacus, maybe running for president, he finds something to complain about. Watch what New Jersey Senator Cory Booker had to say.
Now the president says he's going to pay TSA, which we're starting to see happen. Why didn't he just do this months ago? It's what Democrats have been asking.
Shut up,
Pay
Roger.
TSA, keep ICE out of our airports.
Don't you have some
and don't fund this
40-some
reckless
hours to go
agency
speak
until
somewhere where
there's
nobody
real
cares?
Massive reforms, if at all, because the way they're doing immigration enforcement right now is dangerous. They're hurting Americans, detaining Americans, and we've seen killing.
You gonna
them.
try to run for president, Booker? Is he the next candidate?
Congressman. So
I think
now
Gavin Newsom's
Cory
dead in the
Booker
water.
is still finding a way to blame President Trump on the lack of funding, and people are TSA
Booker,
agents
the next
and Border
candidate. I mean, he's not
Patrol,
gonna be
Judy
president.
Coast
It's gonna
Guard,
be Marco Rubio.
and these other agencies going without paychecks. Any
Could be JD
thoughts
Vance,
for the senator there, Spartacus?
Well,
I think
it
Marco
sounds like
Rubio's
he
got it.
actually supports what the president did. He says, you know, he's just saying it should have been done sooner.
'Cause
But
Marco
you
Rubio's
know,
older.
he's, you know,
He has
agreeing
more,
that it's at least a good thing that the
authoritative
president has found a
action.
way to get these
Republican
folks
Party.
paid. I mean, think about it. These
And I think he'll
TSA
turn-
they lived through the longest government shutdown in history.
get that presidency. I
Last
think
year,
he'll
now the longest partial shutdown
play
ever.
the political game.
They've missed all kinds of paychecks by this point in these really stressful jobs. And I think we need to just put an end to this whole idea that because Congress doesn't get its act together, you know, our frontline federal employees, you know, air traffic controllers, TSA agents, Coast Guard, you name it, don't get paychecks. I think we need to find a way to assure that, you know, the political malpractice that we see happening in Washington, D.C. Doesn't undermine
We'll see, though.
our
closer we get to the
control, doesn't
2028
cause
election,
at our
the more we'll
airports,
know.
and doesn't cause
Easier it'll be to
hardworking
predict.
federal employees
I know it's too
to
far
be
out.
unable to, you know, provide for their families.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like too many of them care very much. It doesn't seem like that. You know, Republican Senator John Husted, he says that while Democrat senators continue to get paid, I'm not taking pay. Well, obviously he cares. I'm voluntarily am not taking pay. So there's one that says, hey, you know what? I'm not going to get paid. Do you think maybe it should just be mandated? Can somebody write a little bill and pass in the law that Congress isn't going to get paid when our federal workers don't get paid?
I think so. I think that makes total sense. And I think, frankly, it would give people an incentive to get the job done. Likewise with, you know, these perks, like members of Congress getting to skip the line at the airport with TSA. Well, it's Congress's own failure to act that's caused the lines to get so long. I mean, when elected officials don't have to live with by the same rules as everyone else, and they can insulate themselves from the harm that they inflict on everyone else, that's not a good thing. It reminds me in California when I was in the legislature, the state lawmakers there set up their own private DMV just for politicians. So they didn't have to wait in line with everyone else. And they had little incentive to fix the problem with these DMVs being so slow. So politicians should have to live by the same rules as everyone else.
Did they?
They absolutely should. Well, I agree with you. Congressman Kevin Kiley, God bless you. Thanks for joining the Pulse tonight.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
But they don't.
Joining me now, lawyer and GOP strategist Ford O'Connell. Ford, thanks for joining the Pulse. You know, House Speaker Mike Johnson, he slammed Democrats for this shutdown, calling them obstructionists. So Jasmine Crockett hopped on MS Now to call him
let's see here.
a joke, and then continued to point fingers at him and Republicans. Watch.
We know that the Republicans are not good at math. But the reality is that
you're not good at math.
Bill, they were able to figure it out. And the House decided to obstruct. And when I say the House, I mean the Speaker of the House. He is the one that decides what it is that actually hits the floor. And unfortunately, he decided against our federal workers. Much of what this administration and the Republicans have been doing since they've been in power has been against federal workers in general.
Damn it, Bobby.
Is that like a 5-year-old stab? They're not good at math? I mean, what's coming out of this woman's mouth? What are your thoughts?
I know you are, but what am I? And frankly, the legacy media seems to agree with them. Democrats threw a tantrum because they don't like ICE, so they wound up harming national security in time of a military conflict. It's totally unconscionable. They're endangering American lives, and why are they doing it? Because they don't like ICE. They don't just have Trump derangement syndrome. They have ICE derangement syndrome.
I almost had him.
Here's the dirty little secret, David. ICE is doing nothing different under Trump than it did under Obama. In fact, the guy who's quarterbacking it, Tom Homan, with the same presidents and Obama gave him a medal.
I'm gonna buy this
The
international.
bottom line is they don't like ICE because it's the only agency.
No, we gotta get back home first. Let's pretend we're actually out.
And they just want open borders.
Where are we? Where was that last
that's exactly what they want. Open the border to everybody. Well, Providence's gay liberal mayor, Brett Smiley, he's forcing an unfinished mural to be
I remember
removed
Smiley
for
and his
the slain
ridiculous thing he was doing out in
23-year-old
California.
Ukrainian girl, Ariana Zrutska, who was stabbed to death on a train. Smiley says the misguided, isolated intent of those funding murals like this across the country is divisive and does not represent Providence. So Mayor Smiley calls the mural of a murder victim divisive. Yet this was him in 2020 after George Floyd died. And this was Providence in 2020, rioting in the name of George Floyd, a criminal. So I guess the riots represent Providence better than the mural?
Okay,
No, they don't, but this is the entire identity politics
Colorado,
expressed the Democratic Party. The problem is if the mural's up there, it's a reminder that illegal aliens killed somebody who was legally in America. That's the entire narrative. Also, I believe, if I'm not correct, Elon Musk wanted to give $1 million towards the mural. He became a lightning rod because he's saying it's great when we celebrate those that is a reminder about the dangers that basically Democrat policies put us in.
Yeah, they don't like Elon, and they don't want a reminder of what their policies have done to innocent victims. Now, former NBA player Charles Barkley is trying to jump into politics. He made a political statement on immigration when covering March Madness this weekend. Watch.
The way some of these other immigrants are getting treated in our country right now is a travesty and a disgrace.
Oh, Charles Barkley.
I think there's a difference between amazing immigrants and criminal immigrants. Immigrants built this country, and we should admire them and respect them.
And then on the other spectrum, you have former NBA player Tristan Thompson, an immigrant, showing his support for the president.
Well, President Trump, what he's doing, first of all, I love what he's done so far for our country. I think he's helped our country a lot. In terms of where he stands with that, I think, you know, I'm a firm believer because I have family members and I have people that are immigrants. I think, you know, I believe, you know, for those that don't do the right way and get the papers, I think they should be taken care of first and foremost. I think it's the right thing. I think that's the right way of going about it.
When they say immigrants built this country, they weren't immigrants when they came here and built it. Citizens of the country, which made them American. So they were actually became Americans, and Americans built this country. They weren't immigrants while they built the country.
Well, I think it is the echo chamber that they're watching, but we're not. The question isn't immigrant. The question is legal or illegal. And if you do not have national sovereignty and a border, then you don't have a country. And what's amazing is somebody from Canada, where Alberta's
now, as far as like maybe since the 60s,
talking about how great Donald Trump is. Once again,
whenever it was when we
back into the line
did the whole green card and visa thing. Since then, you may have been building some of the country, but not the country itself.
Brother. God bless you, man. Thanks for joining the
or like businesses or houses, whatever.
Coming up,
you know what I'm saying? Like you were building stuff, but you weren't like the country was already built. So like that whole comment of immigrants built this country is not accurate. It's a blanket statement that's not accurate, and it's too generalized. And it's not accurate.
Hi, I'm Ed Henry. I've worked at a lot of news.
The country was already built before that.
I love Newsmax the most.
And by people who came here to be Americans, that means they were Americans.
It's not just the slogan.
They wanted to be Americans.
We actually believe
in
the power of people.
And their kids became Americans. Place. They weren't immigrants. This is stupid. Immigrant means you're moving from one place to another, but when you establish your citizenship, you're no longer an immigrant.
Questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
You seen that life insurance thing I got in the mail?
It's over there.
The recycle. I sent for this.
You're buying life insurance now?
status, not a permanent one. Citizenship is a permanent status until you change. Or if you change. But it's permanent until you do. But you can die as a citizen. Pretty much permanent for your life.
I love seeing all the opportunities she gets from being here. And it's the look on her face the first time we walked in and she saw somebody else that looked like her. They take good care. It's just me.
Shriners or, yeah, we know. Freemasons. Alright, Freemasons? Gotcha. Alright, we hear you. Alright.
To the Pulse. I am David Harris Jr. Well, the Justice Department is drawing a line in the sand, filing a lawsuit against the state of Minnesota and the Minnesota State High School League over policies that allow biological males to compete in both sports and access to those locker rooms. According to the DOJ, this is a clear violation of Title IX, the very law back in 1972 to protect opportunities for men and girls, not redefine them, not blur them, but protect them. And this isn't hypothetical. The lawsuit points to a real example.
Dang.
On a girls' varsity softball team who helped secure a state championship. That's not inclusion, friends. That's a competitive imbalance. And millions of Americans can see it. Attorney General Pam Bondi making a statement saying, the Trump administration does not tolerate flawed state policies that ignore biological reality and unfairly undermine girls on the playing field.
Yeah, that's right.
And here's where it gets serious. According to the DOJ, Minnesota takes
Reset.
in over $3 billion a year in federal education funding. And from the message from Washington, well, it's simple. Follow the law, or that money could be on the line. But Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison, he's calling the lawsuit harassment of children, saying that it's astonishing that any president would try to target, shame, and harass children just trying to be themselves, let alone a president with so many actual problems to address. Absolutely insane. This guy, Keith, needs to go somewhere. Let's be clear. Protecting girls' sports is not harassment. It's common sense. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll call it straight whether I agree or disagree with this administration. But on this issue, it's not complicated. Title IX was created to ensure fairness for female athletes. It was never meant to be rewritten by ideology. Biology is real. Chromosomes are real.
Yes, science.
It's not bigotry.
No, it's science. It's just science. Biological science. Just because you feel like you have XS chromosome doesn't mean your XY chromosomes are going to somehow change to XX or vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another example of this backwards ideology.
Yeah, backwards ideology. Thank you, Supreme Court, today on Colorado. Shut that shit down on my public schools. Thank you.
Going on right now in our nation and the world. This is high up on the list because these girls work their entire lives from the time that they can walk, sometimes even crawl, they're practicing, and they work their whole lives just to have mediocre males come and say that they identify a certain way, and steal everything that they've worked their lives to achieve, and it's not fair. It's also incredibly dangerous. So, I really don't know where we went wrong in society where fighting for equality for women and girls is somehow the bigoted position.
Right.
It's just mind-blowing that, these men...
Same with like saboteuring from the CIA ops on my friends and shit. They're like making people think some delusional ass shit.
Carpet rolled out for them, get preferential treatment, steal scholarships, steal titles, and
ops interfering on their life and then somehow blaming it on me. Like, I have nothing to do with any of that shit.
And I know it
crazy
doesn't make
fucks.
sense to you or this audience, thank God.
Just because I'm a cybernetics psychic.
Thankfully, we have
You can tap in,
administration that
read what's
cares
going on. Doesn't make me the guilty part. This makes me informed and aware of what's really going on.
This is actually a war on them. They will carry it fairly. And I want to get your reaction to this. Democratic lawmakers in Congress introduced a resolution officially recognizing today as International Transgender Day of Visibility. The day first created in 2009 by Michigan activists and then symbolically recognized by President Biden in 2021. So let me ask, why are biological males taking
free.
cling on to it, and I don't think it's going to work out well for them in the midterms. That's for sure.
No, they just don't want to let it die. They do not. Now, Chloe Cole, who has detransitioned and had her on the show many times, she's accusing the mainstream media of downplaying violent crimes committed by transgender individuals. She
They
says
are.
the public isn't getting the full story.
No, they're not.
The uncomfortable facts.
Uncomfortable facts. Best.
Mainstream media is trying to suppress those incidents of these transgender shooters and not revealing the obvious connection between their mental health issues leading to their transition and then the tragedy that unfolds from that point on. And then there's people who are just immediately dismissing them as, oh, they're crazy and they just have mental illness. And I think while that is true, I think the bigger picture is that there is a systemic failure on the part of these individuals to be able to figure out their real problems, and the doctors worsening that, and then the mainstream media, by choosing to uphold the ideology rather than question it in its role.
Yeah, Jamie, there have been several high-profile violent shootings where the shooter's gender delusion has been part of public record, including a deadly ice rink shooting in Pawtucket involving a transgender father, as well as that shooting at a hockey game in Rhode Island where the transgender man killed family members and wounded others. So do you think that the media is just innocently missing these details?
No.
Or are they trying to actually protect the very...
They answer to the overlords, the globalist overlords.
No, it's definitely not a mistake at all.
The
It's just
Draconian
something
Empire.
that's being overlooked. I feel like pretty much every time there's a mass shooting now, sadly, you know, we're all waiting for the shoe to drop, for the shoe to drop, and for the media to just say the truth, which is that, you know, the shooter was trans or was caught up in gender ideology in some way. It's just part of a larger pattern that can't be ignored, and I don't know, you know, they try and memory hold these stories very, very quickly as soon as it does get released that the suspect was trans, but that doesn't change reality, and that doesn't change the public learning about it, because thankfully the mainstream media, you know, they don't have as large of a sway over the American mind anymore. There's independent journalism out there, thankfully so, and the truth can't be ignored. And I think that it's actually very, you know, I think that these people have blood on their hands in the media that ignore it, that ignore the issue, because, you know, it inevitably, you know, people ignore the issue more than, and the root cause isn't addressed, and more violence inevitably.
It's just like how the CIA brought crack to the black community, meth to the white community, transgenders to school.
Which actually, sadly, is the boomer generation and even a lot of the 50 and older, they're still watching it. So they're hearing it, or they're not hearing it, rather, and they're believing it. It is sad, but you hit the nail on the head. It's a twisted ideology that just needs to go away. Jamie Mitchell, God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks, David.
Stick around, friends. Silver lining is next.
He tells it like it is, with decades covering Washington and the really big stories.
Be quiet, no be cool. All right, I think we're done with that show. I'm gonna mute this up. Let's see what happens. What up, guys? Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I hear you. I was just making sure we're good. Speeding right now. I hear an echo. I hear you. Not right now. Well, I mean, the neighbor's kids. There's a lady with a baby now that screams. Yo, I think it's the CIA fucking. They mad. Yeah, well, they're the ones messing with you, man. No, I don't think so. I heard that you said the letter J didn't exist. Oh yeah. Was it the ATSA executive order today? Was that today? No, out of the influence, like they were able to influence kids to talk about it and like try to brainwash them. Was my opinion. But yeah, I'm glad that happened. No, it's not their place. It's up to the adults, not the state. Yeah, and they work for the state. Yeah, it's not up to the state. It's up to the parents. You know, all the rest of us don't like our parents sometimes, but we gotta wait till they're 18 to do what we want, right? Yeah, so that's the state, that's the regulation. The parents get to decide until you're 18, then you can do what you want. I'm in an international. Mine? Oh, it says Mac. It does, yeah. But it, there it is. Yeah. Thought it was the international. I was the. Inworth. Except for the people, I guess. I lived in Utah for 2 years from 99 to... Yeah. Right? Yeah, that's like Aspen, Colorado, right? Hey, if you like blondes, go to Utah. Lots of them. There's a lot of blondes in Utah. Yeah. Yeah, most people don't even live there, they just work. Yeah, Parker's the mountains. Ski resort kind of area. Well, except for like South Park, or what is it, South something like 2 hours south Salt Lake City. Yeah, I had a friend that lived in that range, trailer park, so that's how. But they got the light rail that goes. They have transportation all on up. They got a lot of Samoans. Us, yeah. Yeah. Sound and water. It was sound and water. They had different technology. Ours is very primitive to that, as far as like the Atlantean and all that shit. It was sound, water, vibrations, and crystal. What they had. But I'm talking like before Abraham and all. Yeah. Way back, like 10, 12,000 years ago. Well, it's because they had a reset. They collapsed. Started from scratch, caveman. It's because we create our own demise with greed and corruption. And they're almost going to do it again if they're not. They're like really close. Like 5 minutes till midnight kind of thing. Yeah, that's the one I was trying to talk about. Yeah. That was the card shop. Running a... Yeah, exactly. Or understanding business. Dude, my grandparents would play those old like solitaire hearts games and stuff. So that shit's boring. What are you talking about, you boring ass person? Yeah, it was boring there, huh? It sucked. I wish I had that. That shit's like $1,000. Yeah. No, the simulator's $15. The game itself, but the whole setup. Yeah, like imagine you're a mechanic. Instead of hiring 5 idiots, you just hire some robots or buy robots and pay the electrical. That's your labor cost. The real jobs for humans is going to be creation, creating things like art, entertainment. Hey, I want to make sure I don't hit no poles. I'm just kidding. Yep. I got a little bit of that in me. I do that. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Because you know what? Puerto Rico's real close to Florida, and that's where Cherokee came from. Florida. Yeah, but they didn't get kicked out. Tell me. Tell me. Yeah. Dude, I got 2 hands on a controller. Calm down. I got 2 hands on the controller, man. You think I got 4 arms or something? Well, up in Idaho, there's those giant square blocks, like, and also potential proof that there was giants here. Like a road for giants. Like they made a road. Well, you know how like we put in ancient times we had roads made out of concrete blocks and stuff. Because Greek came up with concrete or whatever and made roads and stuff. Well, there's proof, allegedly. Well, there's proof here of in Idaho where this dude goes out there. A lot of people. There's these giant squares made out of sandstone or something. No, not sand. Limestone. Limestone. They were. Native tribes talk about a time when there was giants and they had to kill them all and destroy the trees so they couldn't breathe. The giant trees. Yeah, it was to take them out. It was a military tactic. Yeah. But they say when the giants were here, they were enslaving humanity. CIA shit. Not everything. Yeah. And you know they were trained by MI6 when they started, right? Oh, that goes back to Great Britain. Yeah. Well, it has to do with sound, vibration. Because That's what they think, how the pyramids are built, with sound. Like they got the right vibration or whatever, match frequency of the stone, levitate. Well, that means the lost tribes of Israel is what you're talking about. Yeah, I believe that. The tribes were on the boat. They weren't Israel. There was no Israel. No, but the conquistadors were Catholic. Oh, okay.